you can say that for at least past 8 years, he has been complaining that NATO's military presence, NATO's expansion to Russia's doorsteps, Russian borders are unacceptable. I think the Americans, the Europeans, and the NATO powers did not give him the space to withdraw from his position. They didn't give him anything. So he is there around Kyiv now to get something serious out of, because many in the Europe, the Germans and the French and the Italians who are compelled to take this very strong position at this moment do not necessarily see to this conflict eye to eye along with the Americans. And if I would say in a rather more stronger way, that they have brought Russia to a position where Russia has done an irresponsible act of actually invading Ukraine. But then can be counter-argument is this, that this is what the Americans wanted. I think everything which Zelensky is doing from Kyiv is actually scripted. He's being advised. So Zelensky is doing everything possible to torpedo, to destroy the possibility of not having a peace, because I think he's not a man of his own self, and he's continuously taking dictation from somewhere.
It's unlikely that the select SWIFT banning for some banks is going to affect the energy transaction. Russia, by and large, is an exporter of energy. It's not an export and energy and food commodities. Both of these cannot suddenly be stopped.
Stated goals of Russia for Ukraine are that they want a regime change, and they're prepared to talk, but they also say that we have to demilitarize this pro-Nazi and fascist regime. And Russia at this time, when it faces all kinds of sanctions, it would not like to see the images of hundreds or thousands of people injured or dead in the streets of Kyiv. So Russians have to be very careful. If you look, he's also very desperate. I mean, if you look at his whole speech carefully, he's actually very desperate. He actually believes that, United States through NATO, he points out to the fact that in 1949, NATO only had 12 members. And now NATO has 30 members, and 5 of them share borders with Russia. So he also sounds afraid. He's also fearful. United States has been preparing for this Ukrainian invasion by Russia for at least the past 8 years. He says Russia has also been preparing for this day. So both sides have been preparing for this day, right? So United States' first bet is for somehow or the other the Ukrainian government of President Zelensky to survive. And Americans, if President Zelensky surrenders or abdicates, then you will see the beginning of a very painful, difficult insurgency supported by United States that can run on and on. Ukraine, in many ways, is to Russia as Afghanistan is to Pakistan, or if you give a more very difficult example, then as if Azad Kashmir is to Pakistan. Putin must have been prepared for the impact of the sanctions. But the sanctions which have been outlined in the past 3 days are massive. If they really implement these sanctions, I say really implement, because if they really implement the sanctions, they will have impact on US economy and also on the European economy.